Look at the stuff. Isn't it neat? I can bypass the Facebook stream. I can do what I want because hopefully technology. There are more than at least 4 ways to skin a cat. So hopefully you guys who were joining me just 10 minutes ago online on the Facebook or YouTube stream, Jacene and Terry and a few other people, if you are now able to join me from Facebook, wherever you are in the universe, welcome. I'm hopping on here for however long my husband and children will allow. It is the late evening. I've kind of been working all day. It's been a really crazy week. It's been a really, if you guys join me on the Tuesday night Astrology and Alchemy with Paranormal Sarah and Matthew Slosier, you know how crazy and what to expect that we knew this. We knew this. Venus and Leo, Mercury and Gemini, the new moon. Today, guys, is a new moon. So I feel a little nervous. I didn't go and get my candle that I usually get, but that's okay. I have a candle that I'm going to be doing on my altar space. And later I will be on social media doing some fun crafts. Hi, Brianna. Hi, Jacene. Hey, Terry. There you are. So you can see me. You can hear me. See, Facebook has really been saucy with me lately. It keeps wanting to shut me down as well as YouTube. It keeps wanting me to use this new producer. And when I do it, it launches WebMX and I can't block it. And then I take WebMX off my computer because I can't have that stuff on my computer. I do telehealth for forensic therapy and I can't have those kind of intermediate apps. It's really bad. It's not good. And so I say, no, thank you. Just, do basic things, Facebook work. And it wants to fight you. And then it tells me that my frame rate is too low. And then it really kind of boggles the process of what is usually quite easy. It's very frustrating. So if you've been struggling with electronics, you're not alone. If you've been feeling quite exhausted, having crazy emotional relationship, dreams, even a lot of suicides, crisis, overdose, delusion, that has all been astrology, things that you would know if you joined Matthew and I on Tuesday at 9 p.m. That's okay, though. You can watch it at any time. It's free online on the Paranormal channel, Astrology and Alchemy. And Matthew's doing astrology readings. But tonight I've been using this deck because I've been doing some parapsychology research and some more objective, like clip art, emoji kind of symbolic spaces. And I really, really love this. So I think this deck is beautiful. Daniel Martin Diaz is a living artist. And even though he wouldn't say that he specializes in divination cards, oh my goodness, are they the best? So I have a lot of decks, but I particularly like this one. So we are going to be pulling from this deck tonight. And so people will often say, how often, do you shuffle it? How many times should you shuffle? At least 7. If you were a casino dealer. I don't think it matters unless you feel good about it. At least 7. I shuffle it all the time. I shuffle it until it feels good. I shuffle it 100 times. No, I shuffle it maybe 10 times, 20 times, 15 times. I don't know. Till it feels right in my hand, until I feel good about it. Till I notice my body gets centered. That I sit comfortably in my chair. That I'm grounded. That I think of the trees outside. I minimize all of my anxiety. I get to a space of as little of my own personal bias and filters as I can, where I really let positive, helpful information in, guidance in, good coffee, permission to come in. And for all of you to think about what question you are framing to the universe before we pull a card. So before I pull a card for you, I want you to think about that. I want you to frame to the universe, what is it that you are even asking about? Because that's going to matter, right? The more specific your question, the more specific your answer can apply to it. So Jacene, Kathy, hello. Jacene, yes, the dreams, right? Matthew, there's Matthew, my co-host right there. And James, Sarah, would you please pull a card for me? I'm looking to become an amateur homeopathic alchemist to help suffering people. Oh my gosh. James, great, great, great. Amateur, drop that. Homeopathic alchemist. I love that. I think sometimes people might be intimidated by that phrase. Of course, I know exactly what that means, and I'm excited to hear you say that. That's exciting. James, boom, boom. Oh, yes. 36. Very important. You think 3 and 6, that adds to 9. 9 is dun, dun, dun. Very Nikola Tesla. Very, when you think of the oracle, I always am thinking of the Nordic oracle, those lepers on the hill, the oracle in his temple. It's more of a masculine, even though it's, very feminine in a lot of cultures. I love the oracle. This is a great card for looking to become a homeopathic alchemist. 6-3 in the numerology, the guidance here. There's kind of a nod to Egyptian, the Eye of Horus. We're seeing, whom is it that's giving you your guidance? From where is the original source? The I, the great I am. We say I, we see I, and we have to remember that when we are saying it based on what we see, what are we saying? I, like the very first, the very beginning, right? To declare it, to know it, to look to become is to be. So that's very, very exciting. How is my dad? He's doing well. I'm hoping to go and see him soon, probably in the next week. Next weekend, I'm hoping. Be a very short trip, obviously, because I'm working and everyone in the home is working, but we're going to do our best. And so far, everything is looking okay. We're waiting for a donor, a O positive kidney donor. Steve, can I have a card? Really missing my baby girl. Now, you guys, let's send some extra love and support out to Steve, whom lost his daughter here very recently. And I believe it was a car accident, right, Steve? And that's my worst nightmare. So the fact that you're living that, enduring that, remember, grief is evidence of love. So let's pull a card. Look at that. The universe. Yeah. The middle, the kingdom, and being all surrounded, synchronicity, the wave, right? The universe, it is unfolding exactly as it should. And even death is a part of that. And it is not the end. So we're talking about her now. And thank you for bringing her with you, as you always do. 10, a full, a completion, a resolution, taking a deep breath with that. It's easier said than done, though. But there it is, the universe showing itself to you in synchronicity. Very, very powerful. Jacine, wondering if there's confirmation on bridging clinical health advocacy and spiritual practice. Ooh, so that is a really powerful question. Of course, that's a lot of what I'm doing and struggle with. I, of course, am working in corrections where sometimes people are really working with ethics, having done something very wrong, very sinful, something that is not worthy of grace, an abomination. How do you mitigate recidivism when spirituality is so separate from the therapeutic, clinical, healing, recovery space? And it shouldn't be. Some people would agree it shouldn't be. Some people would say there's no space for it. Private practice, being able to advertise it proudly and people to seek you out for it. Very, very important. Jacine. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Ruth. Just cleaned my plates for that new moon. Yes. So Jacine, let us pull a card for that, because that's very, very powerful, isn't it? Let's pull it. There it is. The waning crescent, number 50. The number 50, I'm always thinking of 50 cents. I'm thinking half of a dollar. Half of a dollar, it's a financial space. It's an earth space. Waning, though, is coming down from the full moon, and it's a release. It's a letting go. It's a saying that there might be too much of something already present. So we need to empty it out, like a little teapot. And I think that there's something to that. The crescent also suggesting kind of the minority. that is the minority belief or the minority in practice, but I don't know if it's the minority belief. Maybe if people are wanting, yearning, wishing to do that, because we see a huge spiritual push, right? But it would be 50. It would be half of the way there. It would be waning. It would be waiting for the other process that Aquarius is slowly taking over to move and shift and change and alter and grow with it. So yeah, no big deal. But yes, I think very relevant. Jennifer, welcome. Ruth said, I had to go to YouTube. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that you found me. I also do Instagram and TikTok and a few other places, all at Paranormal Sarah. Jennifer Lynn would love a card. Ooh, the sun. Black hole sun, won't you come wash away, right? This is it. Hey, Rose. Hi, Steve. You are always welcome. God bless you. And please, please, please always know that you're welcome to join in and that you're in my thoughts, Steve. Man, the sun, gravitational pull, motivation, light of your life. You are my sunshine, right? This is what gets us up and out. Lately, we've had a lot of fire, like Venus moving into Leo, the sun moving in these spaces where it is about what it is that's pulling you, pushing you, like a plant leaning to the sunshine when you have it near a window. The sun, you can't help but grow towards it. We need it, but also we don't want to burn out or get overexposed. We have to be aware of how the light plays on things, how we perceive things. It's much more than what it is we see, also what we do not see. But the sun is going to be more than just light. It's a pull, it's a push, it's a radiation. It's an ultraviolet space. Very powerful. Loving it. Yes, got you. Yes. Hi, Rose. It has been forever. I know. The shift into June, that summer solstice, it's been exceptionally big, deep, harder to adjust. The life transformation for people, the working, the promotions, the moving. We've had to take time for ourselves. And as long as we aren't judging, as long as we aren't shaming, as long as we aren't carrying these big emotional burdens, because we're doing what is necessary in times that require that. But it is exhausting. So we're coming out of our holes, right? We're coming out. Lizzie, not sure. It keeps kicking me off. You're very welcome, Jennifer. And thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget, if you want me to pull a card for you, all you have to do is ask. It's very important in all ways to have consent, right? So I need you to give me that permission, and then I will gladly pull a card for you. If you would rather have a reading in person, you would rather check out paranormalsarah.com and any of those things, those services, you can check out the shop and explore a little bit more about me. Maybe you're tuning in for the very first time. You don't know what the hell I'm doing. These are oracle cards, different than tarot, different than numerology and alchemy, different than that. It is very specific to the artist and unique to psychoanalysis, right? Very, very powerful, subjective. Synchronicity, I think, playing much more of a role in oracle decks because they can be tiny, small, big, little, artsy, creative, all sorts. So, Lizzie Salmon, yes, please. I give you permission. Boop. Lizzie, ooh, I love this. The skull. Lizzie S., the skull for me is Baron Samedi. It is a reaper. It is a protector. It is someone that is helping you in a time of crossroads and great decision. And don't, sell your soul. My Lord, I do believe you did sell your soul to the devil. Don't be a man of constant sorrow. Instead, know what it is that you are ritualizing, that you're burying, that you're putting to rest. And also know what you're choosing and what risk comes with that choice. The skull says you only live once. Baron Samedi says know your pleasures, but to love is to suffer, right? So an interesting card, very unique to living, physical space, and mindfulness of the present moment. Decision. I like it. What are you going to choose, by the way? Ooh, what number? 38. The 18th of August, we'll know for sure. Rose said, I just picked up a new deck, but also pull a card for me. Look at Rose, the full moon. Whatever project it is that you are working on, the full moon, which will be coming up here by the end of the month, this is going to be very powerful to use as we are taking these projects and they're coming to fruition and we're getting spiritual guidance. This is going to be that precipice of change we are waiting for and the full, placid, peaceful rest for the transformation complete. We're going to really feel the things we've been thinking and be in a better space come this full moon. This is a very powerful card for complete guidance and soul guidance, feminine guidance, lunar guidance, the goddess guidance, right? Yes. Lizzie, you're very, very welcome. Terry, I'd like a card, please. Yes, Terry. Ooh, the one sometimes people get nervous to get. Don't be nervous. I love death, right? We were just talking about death. Death, the Reaper, is a non-judgmental person there to support you and help you through times of change, through times of grief and passage and great emotional growth. It can be huge, traumatic. He's not there to smile or laugh. No, no, no. Often faceless, right? Cloaked, veiled, but powerful, strong, and helping you, leading the way to that next safer space for which you deserve. And you've built that space for yourself. We build that space for ourselves. And death helps us get there. It is but a passage of time. And it is brief. And you don't remember pain in a passage of time. So when I think about this, I think about being at a rebirth, being at putting something to rest, actually having a death. And that, of course, being the beginning of something. This is like a culling. 20, very indicative when I think of 20. I'm thinking Vente. I'm thinking French. I'm thinking catacombs. I'm thinking... yeah, the 20th of August. Okay. Louis Capachel. I love that name, Capachel. Louis would like a card and a reading. Louis. Ooh, the ear. Occhietta. Occhietta. I love the ear. And it is all about tinnitus. It's about what we're hearing. I think of Michael Esposito. I think of schizophrenia. I think of electromagnetic frequency. I think of electronic voice phenomenon. I think of hearing things in the night or hearing voices or hearing messages or how we might be audio forward, the soundtrack, that music matters, that we be listening to the music. Very, very important. The ear. Perk that ear. Close your eyes like and listen. The new moon, there's no light out. It's very dark. You can't see. Listen. The ear would suggest this is where you're going to get your information. Very powerful. So that is for you, Louis. Brianna, I would appreciate pulling a card for me. Thank you, Brianna. Ooh, not so exciting as death, I know. But this is the waning gibbous. Waning, meaning that it is minimizing. It's getting darker. It is decreasing. So this is a time to decrease stress. This is spells for losing weight, losing negative, losing toxic people, losing the baggage, losing the yuck, getting all rid of things that do not serve you. This is the time for that. And the gibbous suggesting that there is a lot there still working on minimizing and trying to rid and purge and clean. So coming from a new moon space into the waning gibbous, we are going to be, still some time, right? Until we're here. 2 weeks, give or take, I would say, is when this feels about right for whatever it is that you're thinking about, Brianna, to come to fruition. Letting it go, cleaning, minimizing, releasing. Ruth, I give you permission to pull a card for me. Ruth, very special. The family tree. How very special are we to have in our family tree. Mother Earth and Father the time. Oh, I love Charlotte's Web. I love that song. Grandpa used to play that with his violin outside in the morning when we'd pick mulberries off of the tree before the birds got them. And that's where this card takes me, the tree, the family tree, the people in our lives on our branches that we are proud to have fallen from, right? The strength that we have, every woman and man in our family tree before us that has fought for something, bled for something, cried over the grave of their loved ones that died before them, right? They did it. They did it. They endured. And so when I think of the tree, like the great big tree, or in Georgia, there's these huge big trees with moss dangling down, and they know how to be grounded. It's very powerful magic, earth, tree, green magic. And the tree is very symbolic of that strong rooted family strength. Yes. So Mary says, gosh, these are such different cards. I know. I love them. They're all hand drawn by a living artist who lives out of California. He wears 3-piece suits, plays the accordion, and plays in a really cool electric band with a beautiful woman doing gypsy things, vintage tap polka electric music. What? And he does art on the side. It's his side thing that he doesn't even think he's that good at. And oh my gosh, I love his art. So he did a tarot deck and I bought it and I love it. And I really, really appreciate it. So, Lene, I get that a lot. Yes. And happy birthday, by the way. I heard that it was your birthday recently. I hope it was wonderful. Age ain't nothing but a number, and now ain't nothing but a thing. I always think of that. Aaliyah, rest in peace. Tiasha, good night, Lady Sarah. Can I bug thee for a card? Yes. And Tiasha, you know what I love? Even though your language, you have such a Renaissance vibe about you, Tiasha. You have such a mature, older, like very polished and even religious vibe about you, but also one that's of literature and that makes me think about like thou, right? This is that word that includes many genders. It's not just binary. And so in the space where people are kind of fighting about that, thou was one of the ways that we got through that. Oh, thou. So just interesting thoughts. But Tiasha, let's pull a card for you. Oh, Tiasha. The wing. The wing. I think of third time's a charm. I think of flight. I think of the birds. I think of loved ones that have died coming through and showing themselves, often the cardinal or the dove or the just finding a feather. When I think of finding a feather, it's always a sign of safe travel. I love doing feather magic and air magic. It's very powerful, strong magic. It's knowing how to say no, speak boundaries, speak up for yourself, not let rumors hurt you or damage you. The wing, very powerful on knowing how to just move with ease through turbulence, through the current, through the hot and cold. You can't see that in the air, right? You just have to know as you're flying and be ready to adjust any moment. Air magic is tempering, and the wing is one of the major tools that has mastered air. So this is really indicative of survival in air, hanging in there, but also I think of like the angel, right? The guidance from these realms just outside of the living physical space, just in these outer dimensions, Nephilim, angels, loved ones, coming on the wing of God, the voice of God, air magic. And I love that. So thank you for sharing it. Very cool card, by the way, too. So simple art, right? But so powerful. Lewis, thank you so much. Makes perfect sense. You're welcome. I'm so glad. James, just curious, has any of your patients worked with believe they were possessed when they committed their crimes? Yes, many actually. Many. And often also people aren't always talking about that right out because possession is one of those things that if you are truly in belief of it, the church kind of, associates there being a cure and treatment and ways in which to achieve such that don't have anything to do with the judicial system. So the judicial system doesn't give a shit if you think you're possessed. That's something you do on your own time and deal with. I know people Deliver Us from Evil, which was a movie, kind of a B-roll movie. People are like, I hate it. I think it's stupid. It was so stupid. Now, here's the deal. I want to say, in my experience, having worked with individuals that have done really heinous crime, possession, obsession, ramification of crime, glorification of violence, PTSD, delusion, all sorts of weird purgatories of the mind that lead us to strange behaviors. Ooh. Deliver Us from Evil did a great job with some certain scenes. I thought it was probably the closest to what I have seen or experienced, especially like cannibalism, ingesting things, the blood, the suggestions and obsession with numerology and scripture, especially if it's a big part of your foundation and your belief system and your value system. Sometimes people shame themselves to death, and they actually, if you want to see hell, it's like the damned and the people who feel as though they're an abomination and that they are possessed and they don't understand themselves and they have no will to live and they have a will to hurt themselves and others. And you sit with that person and you hear their thoughts, and it's difficult to get to the person. And you can see how Benjamin Quaker and other individuals, even the Vatican and priests today, still struggle with mental health and spirituality. They do intermingle quite closely. Mary, if you have time when you're done with everyone, could you do one for me? Oh, Mary, if you don't have time, thank you. Shush. Mary, we always have time for you. Mary R., let's pull a card for you. Ooh, Mary. Maybe the reason you say that is because you need to be doing divination. Maybe it's because the divining rod, the finding water, the using sticks outside, using tea in the morning, coffee grounds in the trash. Anything you have around you can be divination. We look to the east and we know what has been, and we look to the west and we know what's coming. Why then can we not understand at this present time? Scripture from Luke, and it's very important about divination. It's not meant to tell the fortune as much as it is to give you a mindset of the now, to look at something in a different way. You should know where the information is coming from. That's on you and your spirit. But what it makes you think of and the epiphanies it might bring, the suggestions of critique it helps you grow to. If you're not someone who's going to church or very ritualized, divination can be very helpful. As I was discussing recently, one of the things I love a lot about the Masonic teachings is that discipline equals freedom. And I know that can be also very militant as well, but think about that. Discipline equals freedom. There's truth in that. Divining is in that way a little bit of an illusion. Jamie. Ooh, Jamie, may I have a card? Jamie C., you have gotten a card about duality. Duality? What's going on with the duality? What are you dealing with, Jamie? The red pill, the blue pill. Duality, maybe feeling like you're out of body, crazy dreams, astral projection, a deja vu, doppelgangers, echoes, mimics, reflection issues. This is that kind of suggestion that we might be halfway in and halfway out. I got one foot on the platform of the veil. And that's a real time when Neptune is in Pisces. Now, that's happening now. And in full moon and new moon spaces, different for different signs. So be aware and journal what you might be experiencing, of course, if you believe in that sort of thing. And take note of things. Try not to be fearful, right? Avoid the reaction and just take in information. Very, very special. So Jamie, I hope that helps. They are very cool. Yes, Mary, I agree. They are very cool. So Daniel, if you're watching this, thank you. And see, Other people think they're cool too, and they are cool. Linnea, yes, yes, yes. Ruth says, wow, oh my gosh, my daughter asked me today about the family tree. That's freaky. And by the way, that's awesome. Ruth, that is so cool. By the way, that is one of my grandmother's names. I love it. Yes, I love the name Ruth too. I do. Tiasha, amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The devil made me do it. You guys, I'm actually writing a manuscript right now that's getting ready to go to a publisher friend of mine. Super excited. It's called I won't say the title. But The Devil Made Me Do It is kind of a close to it. So interesting. We're on the same frequency, Terry. Shame. Shame is dangerous. I do a lot of neurolinguistic programming and discussions of language and recovery and healing and just self-expression, shadow work even. And I have an online podcast. It's very old, but I still share it quite frequently with clients, old and new. And it is the difference between shame and guilt. If I'm doing an interrogation or an assessment or an interview, and we're talking about that space, that emotion, the damning of oneself, shame versus guilt. There's a subtle difference, but a very important one. And so I think that that's important to notice and differentiate. Jamie, you're very welcome. Haley, such an interesting energy. I would be open to a card. James said, I would love to read this book once it's published. So don't forget, guys. So my first book, Haunted by the Abyss, that was published by Llewellyn, it's no longer in circulation. So if you got a copy in the first 5 years that it was printed, that's the first edition. I'm currently working on the second edition. Probably won't go to Llewellyn. It kind of depends. I have a few other contracts that are interested in it because of the stories inside and locations inside, wanting to kind of disclose it and utilize it in the second edition. So I've got some things lingering there. And then my second book, which is out as well, is Quantum Parapsychology, How Science is Proving the Paranormal. And I co-wrote that with Dave Jacobs, a amateur physicist and amazing musician, by the way. And if you are interested in the scientific objective, like conversation within the paranormal that's often happening, like at the late night, smoke session or something that just talks about quantum mechanics, that's a book that I really love. And those are ones that I did a long time ago. So it's been years since I have published anything, but that doesn't mean I'm not writing. So I have some sci-fi novels, some ghostwriting that's been published, and a few other things that I think would surprise people. But as far as my own, they are on Kindle, by the way, and I'm working on an audiobook because I want to read them and do the audio myself. So if I can do that and do it, I would love. The Haunted by the Abyss, I no longer have copies of, believe it or not, and that was one of the things going through a big worldwide publishing company. It's in all these different languages and it's on Amazon. And, but I couldn't get close to it. I couldn't do the cover. I couldn't edit it. I was very separated from the process. So it's your first baby and then you don't really get to touch it or love it or anything. And so I did a lot of that publishing and writing, by the way, when I was at home with my babies. I was having babies and breastfeeding and feeling like I'm home and I'm stuck at home and what should I do? I wrote books and published books because that's how I kept myself busy when I was struggling with anxiety. I would write things down. So one of my books that I'm really excited to get published, I'm actually going to be handing that manuscript out as well, is that I married a psychopath and so did my husband. And it's an extension of some of my dissertation research on psychopathy because I have a master's in forensic psychology and I'm working on my doctorate right now. And I love to talk about psychopathy. That's kind of my specialty in the education space and the academia. And so taking that into a funny, well-written, Chuck Palahniuk type story. And I also have a culling series, which is a kind of a violent series. And then I have a bunch of things that I'm writing and I'm hoping to get those published here in the next few years. But my podcasts on just discussions of language, shame and guilt are very important. They're very key. I would even say maybe even main things that I'm circling in a space of like hearing someone in an interview and being like, I just feel really guilty. And it's like, why? That indicates something important. So yeah. Brian says, why are there only 3 people here? Well, there are 13 on one stream, 23 on another, 10 on another, 3 on another. So what that totals, I'm not good at math. I'm a psych major. But don't feel lonely wherever you're at. It will stream and grow. No worries. So Mary says, you write, you teach, you mentor. I do. I grew up kind of in that jack of all trades. So I had a 4th grade teacher who was my first inspiration that said, Sarah, you could publish a book. You could be a writer if you want. And so that was on my bucket list, and I wanted to do that. And I have a bucket list of things that I'm always trying to, for my self-worth and my value, I kind of have to kind of keep accomplishing things. Just because I accomplished something, once it's in my past, I feel like, well, I need to keep focused. So I'm always kind of climbing those bucket list items, and I love to write. So writing and publishing is important to me. One of my goals is to do an album with my husband and children. My husband is a studio musician, and we have a studio here in the home, and I keep wanting to get my kids on vocals because they sing. They love to sing, and they're still young enough. It would be so cute to get them on a record or an album. And time just flies. I don't even feel like I get to do any of the things I really want to do. So I want to do my reread my books and do an audio. I want to, do all of those things. And it's hard. It's hard to do it all. But right now I'm just doing my forensic therapy. That's my job, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. When I'm at home with my kids, I own a photography studio in a small town, and I do specialty portraits. So I really like to keep my creative juices flowing. And it's out of that studio that I do my podcast and my discussions, like things like this with you guys. So, yeah, there's, and you too can do it all. But I have my nights where I feel like, gosh, I'm a master at nothing. I'm not doing anything really well, or this can't last forever, or this is just going to change. I don't feel like this is who I am. So I struggle with that. But I think maybe that's a struggle for other people too. Brianna says, I am working, so I'm the silent listener. We appreciate that. And thank you for joining me while you're working. It's a Friday night wherever you are. So I feel like if you're listening, that I'm kind of like Delilah. Thank you for tuning in to Delilah or Paranormal Sarah. Right. And writing will be there later too. Right. When my kids are older and graduated, I plan on traveling with my husband. I would love to be on like one of those. When I was in high school, I traveled abroad studying. My parents were divorced, and I kind of was handed off to after school programs because my dad was working a lot. And so I sold candy bars an entire summer to afford a trip to Europe and stay overseas in Europe with a family and travel. And when I did that, I remember riding this train. You had to poop in a hole in the back on the very last car, and it was open to the ground. You could see the ground. And I thought that was weird. And you would sit by this open window, and it looked like one of those calendars that my grandmother kept. She never threw anything away, so there was a stack of them from years ago, but she kept them because the pictures were so pretty. And there were some Irish countrysides where the green grass was so green. You couldn't imagine it could be that green. Like maybe they amped up the color. But I remember sitting in that train, and it was that green. It was that beautiful, and it was that fresh, and the chocolate was real, and the coffee was black, and it didn't feel like assimilation. It felt like a Monet painting. It felt like what dreams may come when everything is a tactile paint and maybe had flavor. I don't know. It was really cool. And I would love to return to that space as an adult with an open notebook and be able to write and to be able to do it with someone that I love and get their feedback of it and like see them seeing it. I think that that's always fun to celebrate something you love with someone. So, yeah, I look forward to that someday. That was a train in Switzerland, going between Switzerland and Liechtenstein. It's very beautiful. Even though you had to poop in a hole. I don't think I could do that. There's a lot of constipation with traveling. You hold it until you're comfortable. But the food, the train stops, I felt like I was in Narnia. I remember getting out and looking at the wood sign and thinking, once the train went off and there was nothing for miles, I was in Narnia. So cool. Yeah, that's just one of those things. So anyway, that was a story once. Tina, could I have a card, please? Yes, you could. And don't forget, guys, I am doing my Oracle deck from the Enigma deck. It's a deck from a good friend of mine. Not a good friend. It's not like I know him well, but Daniel Martin Diaz. I kind of know him. No one is ever too famous to not know, by the way. Everyone poops. That's what that book means to me when I read it. But, oh, wow, that card's so feisty. It jumped right out of my hand, Tina. What are you thinking of, Tina C. McCoy? The Omen. Knock, 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 knocking at your door. The Raven. Knocking, nevermore. 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 And I love this. The Omen. The sign, Hugin and Mugen. Whatever sign or omen it is for you, it doesn't have to be a harbinger. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be a Mothman. It doesn't have to have red eyes and be bringing bad news. Nay, it doesn't have to be a banshee in the night. An omen can also just be a sign. You determine what the sign is. When I see the raven, by the way, it's a good sign. 1, it's a sign for me. 2 ravens, which they usually travel together because they mate for life. Then it is a relationship sign. A good thing. If I see 3, it's that I need to reach out and collaborate. If it's a murder, then indeed it's a party. And I love watching, man, if you want to see ravens, I never saw ravens. I never knew ravens till I moved to Minneapolis. There is a season. There is a few weeks in Minneapolis where you go to the downtown Basilica. It's right off the main stretch of Hennepin between uptown and downtown. Uptown girl. No, it's actually Funky Town where Prince did that. But anyway, in this space, the Basilica, beautiful golden-topped Catholic cathedral, and the ravens come from all over and perch. And you don't see them at first, and then all of a sudden something in the wind will shift, and the ravens just, they're everywhere, and they're huge, and they're like squirrels of New York. They don't fucking move. They don't care. And you watch them and they watch you, and they're just so cool. I can't even handle it. I cannot even handle it. I want to take pictures of them all the time. And that's on my bucket list, and I will. And this is an omen. So this is just a sign that things are coming, things are shifting. Know your signs. As a psychic, I think it's so important that you know your own signs. You know what they are. So when you go, that's the 3rd time this week I've seen that. Well, what does that mean? Well, I mean, if I had to say, well, it's your sign. You're the one seeing it. What does it mean to you, observer, Schrodinger's seer? What does it mean? You tell me. And of course, you will be far more accurate than I from proximity alone. So I'm just simply to give you the alternate opinion to help you see that or come to that conclusion. Jason, speaking of Minneapolis, there is Jason, a fellow podcast host of mine, and what a darling soul he is. A wonderful dad doing a dad cast podcast, a dad bod podcast, dad podcast on dads. Jason, tell people in the chat room where they can find out and listen to that podcast. And also doing other hip hop things. Jason is such a big helper within the community in Minneapolis for artists to be able to collaborate and find each other. And his daughters, he shared a picture of them this morning. Oh my goodness. Talk about a Target ad. I want to plop them in Daisy Field with fairy wings and their hair with the light bouncing off of their hair and spray some like bubbles and put fairies and Jason, before they get too old, let's do a fairy photo shoot. That's what I see. That's just what I see when I look at them. And it's got to happen with red cheeks, with like very red cheeks, like, I just sparkles and all of it. Anyway, that's what I see. And Jason, let's pull a card for you. Oh, Jason. Charlotte, the spider. The spider. The spider is, all the eyes. I love all the eyes. I love all the legs. And arachnid, a three-pieced arachnid, the head, the thorax, the abdomen, a hydraulic machine of juices that builds a web, mostly feminine power, right? And they are catching pests. What I love about the spider, constantly building, build, perfection, awe-inspiring perfection. And then the world shits on it every night. Something flies into it, something they need, something they want, something you have to survive, the momentum for which keeps us here day by day. Hear it? And yet it shits on our beauty that we have built. It's temperance. The spider does not care. It kills it, mummifies it, keeps it, saves it, enjoys it, and keeps on building. I would never use the word lazy to describe a spider. And that is exactly why there is a nuclear bomb on the tail end of them. Keep that in mind. The busyness, knowing what to do with it and how to use it, Jason, which I think you're using it well. But keep aware of the feminine energies. The devil loves idle hands. Give them something to do. Brian Parker, Tactical Sovereignty. Welcome. What dreams may come. Probably came the closest to my experience. I agree. When I think of all of the different movies, whether it's Equilibrium, Gattaca, Matrix, there's some really crazy movies out there, but What Dreams May Come, and I don't know why, because Robin Williams, that movie, spiritually speaking, I reference it all the time. Suicide, purgatory, soulmates, the way of reincarnation, so much of that movie, very, 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 very consistent, very similar, very harmony. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. Like a velvet sweatsuit, right? Oof, that's been washed at least 50 times. This feels good. And I say that having heard of all sorts of different belief systems, near-death experiences, alien abductions, hypnosis of past life regressions, all of these things, traumas, and seeing people die, right? Death. What Dreams May Come seems to be the most accurate, close, and similar to what is illustrated of the experience of like life and death and that process. And Robin Williams is such a great actor to watch. And all of the actors and actresses in it, a great cast. So if you've not seen that movie, check it out. Great weekend. Man, if you want to cry, new moon in Cancer, go watch What Dreams May Come and cry your eyes out. Aaron Anderson, speaking of doing it all, I'm secretly hoping you start offering dance lessons once a week at your studio so I can sign up. Aaron, who told you? This is funny. I used to, in another life, but in this life, when I lived in Kansas City, I was in my mom, again, handing me off. I was in a lot of like pageants and cheerleading and dance and theater and drama and debate and soccer and tennis and piano and adventure club before and after school and how to make pizzas from Bagel Bites. And there's a reason why I know how to do so many things and yet work with psychopaths on relationships. But I have recycled my experience. And I used to be a dance choreographer. I loved working with the little girls in Pop Warner, the little dancers and cheerleaders, and doing the Santa baby, ba 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 every year, doing the routines. And then, of course, later doing routines for the NFL and NAFL, National American Football League, the semi major minors, and just working with dance teams across the country and being able to go to Notre Dame and being able to go to nationals in Florida and all of that. And I would love to do dance at the studio. Maybe that's something we work out at some point, because I have someone wanting to do it for yoga. I don't know if my lease allows me to do fun things. We should see. I also did belly dancing for a long time, and talk about, yeah, so many things I'd like to do, but I don't have time. According to Amazon Prime and Netflix, we're supposed to acquire our Stargate time traveling things this year. If it's the end of the world as we know it, we at least get time travel right before the end. We indeed fuck it up for ourselves. And that means we get time travel right before we go down. And I see it. I'm seeing it. It's the theme. So we might have control of time. Don't lose faith. Isn't that interesting? Tina says that's crazy. And I know it is crazy, especially when you realize that I worked with a hip hop choreographer by the name of Bobby Ray. Bobby Ray was a Michael Jackson choreographer for BET Awards. He and I, we used to dance down on Main Street at City in Motion. Boop. I got assaulted numerous times walking to my car at night. Boop. And despite that, I still really love Kansas City and Main Street and Prospect and those areas down on a Friday. Dancing on the rooftop to Gunshots and Tech Nine, and dancing with sweat running down your back, and so much fun. Good times. Those were the good times. The good times roll. That's okay. Those are good times. They still live, right? And that was me. And I don't know who I just pulled that for, so just disregard that. You can do that, by the way. You can pull a card and throw it in the disregard pile. Ruth, can I please get a card for my daughter? Why, yes. Mary says, I've never seen a raven. Crows and ravens are different. God, the ravens are huge, like bigger than my arm. Ruth, card for you. Ruth, for your daughter. The crystal, the dark crystal. Look at this crystal, by the way. Do you see it shining? Shine a little light for you forever and ever and ever. It's amazing, isn't it? I have the coolest crystals. It's because I have a lot of friends that dig and do crystal stuff, and I'm really picky, guys. If you want a crystal or need a crystal, you let me know. I do psychic shopping, so it's been really fun. People are like, I need a sodalite. I'm like, I got you. And then I go shopping for them and find it. Anyway, this is a crystal. This is about grounding. This is about sacred geometry. This is about knowing how to grow. This is about like mantras. This is about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Oh, that was wrong. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? This is about knowing the structure, knowing transmutation, transformation, all of that. So attainable, so easy, but yet hard. You're telling me having abs is hard. It's just 10 crunches a day and eating right. That's not hard. That's easy. No, it's not. You just have to be mindful every day. Do something small every day, like a crystal growing. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does. A watched pot never boils. But this is growth, and it's growth in structure, and it's slow, and it's strong. So powerful. And so this is a really good nod to earth energy, structure, and understanding your strength is in patience. And get a crystal on your altar. Buy one. A quartz, preferably, because it's about absorbing negative energy right now. And we're in Cancer season. Tina, we have many murders here. Ravens, of course, she's beating. But it could also be like Minneapolis, where they're finding a man in pieces. Just one man, though. Don't worry. It's not a serial killer. Aaron Anderson, I would like a reading. It's been a while. What you got for me, lady? Ooh. Aaron, I got this. Ooh, Aaron, I got this. I got this card for you. Aaron, I got this card for you. Aaron, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? Magic, 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 magic. What an ugly looking thing that is, Daniel, who did this deck. I don't say ugly in that it's like ugly drawing. I just mean, it looks like a Wendigo head. It looks like a Luciferian head. Of course, it makes me think of like Aleister Crowley and the people who have slain the ways of shadow work and yin magic. There's so much crazy bestiality porn with Luciferian stuff if you look up this kind of magic. But it's self-love is what it is symbolic for. And magic, this kind of magic, about being willing to trespass. Because, of course, if you see a gate, if you see a door and you say, we should go in. No, we shouldn't. Should we go in? It's slightly different, right? If you see a sign that says, do not go, then you have to break a rule. You have to trespass. If it's just there, it's just about risk factors. Magic can seem quite risky, and indeed it is and can be. But magic is about self. And so this, Aaron, is about being willing to take the risks, take the journey, even if it's ugly and weird and taboo and strange, and the path, the path less traveled. But I want to say the passage. So the passage, I have to catch myself in that spiritual language, because what am I meaning? Am I meaning that it would be a waterway or to write a passage? Ooh, I think this might be like a scrying or a writing project that you need to do. I'm seeing books and writing and like grimoires, which will be fun because I'm going to show you a craft later, guys. I'm going to bring my phone upstairs and show you this cool craft I'm doing. Oh my God, you're going to freak out. If you like crafts and witchy things, you want to join me later and see the shit that I got going on. You're going to crazy lose your mind. Going to lose it. I mean, I think you will. You might. I mean, you might not. I don't know. I think you will, though. You should join me. It's going to be later on Instagram. Anyway, let's keep going. So I hope that finds you well, Aaron. Do magic. Don't be scared. Come to the dark side. We have cookies. Nobody knows. Mary, crows, grackles, blackbirds, but never a raven. Well, your time's coming, Mary. You're going to see one soon. They'll come to you. Tina, yeah, they don't care. And I need to collab. I've been contemplating this, actually. Yes, you do, Tina. Do it. Mary says, Jason is from here too? Yes. Well, Mary, Jason is in Minneapolis. He's in downtown Minneapolis, where I live from 2009 to 2018. So I lived there for, God, did I live there that long? Almost 10 years in downtown Minneapolis, from 26th Street and Hennepin to Main Street and University. And I really love Minneapolis. It's my second home to Kansas City. I've lived in Kansas City. I've lived in Columbia. I've lived in, I've lived all over. It's like 12 different countries now. And when someone says like when I take a government position, they're like, list the last 5 places you've lived. And I'm like, oh, don't even fucking list. I can't really, and don't want to. It's a nomadic thing. But now I can say I love Minneapolis. I have a lot of friends and family there. If you need somebody or something in Minneapolis, let me know. From the security guy for Prince to underground ghost things. I don't know. I was going to try and give you a wild spectrum, but I guess that spectrum didn't go that far. I mean, yeah, Jason's in Minneapolis and he's a podcast host and he does all sorts of things. The Rad Bad Stay at Home Dad podcast. And you can catch the Vibe radio for all the music. Doing a lot of collaboration. He has such a good radio voice. But more importantly, the reason we love Jason is his dimples. I met him when I was a manager at Sprint. Slinging cell phones. Jason and I were shotgun bang. What's up with that thing? You want to know? How does it hang? We were slinging Sprint phones in Lake Calhoun, Jason and I, back in the day. when it was Lake Calhoun, not Mid-Bacasa. They've changed all the things now because people got real angry and took down all the American history and wanted to erase it because they were mad about it. Tina, hope you had a fabulous weekend. It's going to be interesting. Spiders are very interesting. Spiders are interesting. I love spiders. My kids would really like and should need to be around a tarantula. I haven't had the opportunity yet, though, but give me time. Linda. Gosh, Linda. Have you been ruined by that beautiful young Hispanic boy that did that really funny thing on the internet, Linda? You're not listening to me, Linda. We're reading for you. Oh, saucy Linda. This is the card that, of course, people might be like, oh, no. Don't be scared. This is the devil. And the devil really, I think of Gavin Rossdale. Are you kidding me? Yep. And chocolate. But the devil is what is influencing you. Linda, this is a card that says, what's influencing you? Stop. Him up, hold him up, shut. Whoa. Let the fighters roll. Rest in peace, DMX. We need to look at what's influencing us because it may not be a good thing. It may not be something that we're aware of. It might be something that we go, wow, I didn't realize that. You know what? I need to shift. I need to add this. I need more balance. I need more harmony. The devil is simply in the details, and it requires focus and sometimes just a reminder to stop and look. And that would be this reminder in that card. Definitely not lazy, the spiders. Absolutely not. Jason, so glad you're joining us. Brian Parker says, you are almost a modern Edgar Allan Poe. He crosses all timelines, dreams, probably the Derek Bros being part of the production. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, I too was an alcoholic in my 20s. Poor man never got through it, though. He died on a bench half naked in Boston. That's why we call him the Boston Ravens, guys. And, or Baltimore. Sorry, not Boston. Ugh, Boston and the Caucasians. You know what I'm saying? No, Baltimore Ravens in the NFL. Edgar Allan Poe. That horrible, it wasn't horrible, but John Cusack did a movie, The Raven. I have a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. Look, you think I'm shitting you. Watch this. Look at the stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think that Edgar Allan Poe and I are complete? See, I love this dude. If you're only listening, I'm showing my Edgar Allan Poe deck that I have sitting here at my desk. Because, bitch, please. That's one of my spirit guides. So I'm glad, Brian, that you picked up on that. You too must be psychic. You've not seen it? You need to look for it. Brianna says, from routines to rituals. The definition of religion. Yes. Ruth, I gave you a card for your daughter, so I must be on a chat lag. No worries. Norma Cantu, can you pick a card for my sister Linda? Her very first time listening. Norma's sister. Yes. Ooh, Norma's sister, the number 22. 22, very powerful. Numerology, doubling up, 2-2. But this is self-awareness, right? I love that he's got the braille. I love that we've got the highs and the lows, the troughs, the wavelengths, fire coming up in this pyramid shape from the body in that bioelectric shape, like an obelisk up. This is a growth. A lot of people right now talking about the ascension, right? And this is a fantastic card for that space. Everybody in this Pluto, Neptune, and Pisces, what's real, what isn't real, I can't do this anymore. Oh, now we're going back to work. No, I can't do that. I'm not going back. I won't do that anymore. Like these big life changes. It's life or death. That is indicative of people that are going to make a change or shift. Self-awareness. It doesn't always feel great. Like, oh, you're so self-aware. You must have all the answers and be floating in a floaty place of love and light. No, it's usually quite painful, like pulling off a Band-Aid and, You see somebody in recovery, you see somebody in sobriety. I mean, that's not always a happy space, but it's a prideful one. It's an accomplished one. And there's a difference. There is a difference from the numbness to the awakening. And pleasure and pain, they are a process and a part of it, but they are not the culmination, the identifying factor, the validation of it. So self-awareness, very powerful card. So there you go, Norma's sister. Ruth, oh my God, she says, oh my God. I hope that finds you well. I hope that's a good OMG. Erin says, gosh, I liked that crystal, right? Hello, Phyllis. Phyllis, she's a best friend of mine. Man, I do have some best friends in this world. I was at her wedding. Those kind of friends that you see them again after years or decades and you just love them more somehow. That's Phyllis. She's in the chat room. Erin, you're very welcome. Someone says, man, I'm in Watertown. Oh my God, I'm a Capricorn. And they say that is our sign in the tarot. It's true. It is absolutely true. Magic. What are your thoughts on divining rods? I've used them a lot successfully. And how about a card? Divining rods, I think of witching sticks, right? I think of people using them very early on, witchers or the witching stick. My grandpa, my farmer, indentured servant ancestors living off the land, being able to put their thumb in the ground and determine if it's ripe enough to plant, looking at the moon, knowing when it's fruit or when it's pollinating, being able to pull the sap and know if it's freezing at night or not. These are signs and ways to use alchemy. And just like 100 years ago, meteorology was magic and crazy devil talk. Now it's, hi, and thank you for Fox News. Thanks, Carol. Today it's going to be 72. Wrong. They're always fucking wrong. But yet here we are giving them a job and a salary because there is some science to it. Of course it can change, especially once you observe it. But you have an indication. You have a probability. You have a correlation. You have an idea. And so it helps you plan, helps you have a little bit better of an idea what to expect, to prepare. And I feel like divining rods are just like that, as all divination tools are. They're simply a way to gather information. If it's a divinating rod that's a stick made of willow or ash or cedar, depending on where you're at and what culture you're using, and you're holding it, and it's supposed to help you find water. It's supposed to help you. And this is, I mean, you can look at moss on a tree and know where the north and south is. I believe this is science. I don't believe this is magic. And, I have often explained this analogy in my gypsy tribe, like when I do mentoring for spirituality. A good example for my children who, they hear that I'm a witch and that I teach magic and we talk about magic. And for a long time when they were younger, we would be driving down the road. The stoplight would be red, yellow, or green, and it would be red. And I would wave my hand and go, abracadabra, I see, you see. And now that you see me, I turn you green. And, or whatever, I would rhyme. And every time, like it's clockwork, it's green. Oh my God, how does she do that? She's a witch. It's magic. It is magic. Would you like me to teach you this magic that I know? Are you sure you want to know? Because magic has an air about it, a hopefulness, a faith that something is bigger than you, something is powerful, that there might be something you could learn that gives you a power that you didn't know you had. And the truth is, it's a detail that you didn't know you were missing. It's Kung Fu Panda's secret ingredient being a blank piece of paper. Magic is, of course, everyone focusing on my fingers and the green light turning at my command, not on the walking countdown to the left that is always going 3, 2, 1, blink, blink. blink, red, yellow, green, and you can watch it. You can watch the perpendicular, equal and opposite energy move and know when to move in accordance with it. There's a time, there's a pattern, there's a routine, there's a dance happening. And when you're looking there and then look there, as opposed to looking here and not seeing here, is that magic? My oldest son. That's not magic. That's not magic. My youngest son. Look at, I can do magic too. Now, for those who do not know, magic is magic. For those who know, magic is science. It's the ways in which we measure the world and predict it, often in things that we see that others aren't simply paying attention to. And for that, some people think I'm going to hell. I didn't create it. I didn't do anything but point my finger for you to see it and watch it happen your damn self. It doesn't mean that I caused it to happen. And don't worry about that pot. But of course, what's even crazier is if I hadn't said, don't worry about it, would you have broken it? Right? The power of suggestion, the power of focus, the power of manifestation. It is all the same power. We all have it. You do not need to jump through level 9. You do not need to find kryptonite. You do not need to anything. You can have it right now. Guess what? You have permission. Activate your power. Be magical. From here forth on, be aware. And you can be. And that's really exciting. What's also really sad is that it is that easy at times, and yet you can't give it to someone or make someone do it. Very frustrating indeed. But that's real. And the difference between empathy and sympathy and being with and forcing and all of that, it's kind of weird, right? It's just a subtle difference, just a subtle thing. But anyway, Brian, that is how I feel about divining rods. And depending on which ones you're using, I have a few sets. I have the copper ones. Don't leave those in your car these days. People snatch them like they will a catalytic converter if they're smart. No, I'm kidding, but I'm not. And certain metals will attract other metals. Certain magnetic poles will react to the equal and opposite polar end. And I believe in that. So let's pull a card for you. Brian Parker of the Tactical Sovereignty. Love. Love is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore. So love is for the way. Anyway, that's like Lamb Ear. That's a song that never ends. Sorry if I gave it to you. Not sorry. Love, the number 4. Alchemy for stability, earth, air, fire, and water. And as you can see, this air, the sword going into the heart, the water, being aware of what it is that people say and how you communicate. And I love that he's drawing not just the skeletal system, but the central nervous system, our feelings, how we feel. And I really, really love it. I feel as though the connection that we have, the stimulus, the feelings, but also the structure and the balance, it's a big part of love. When I'm working with people, especially with love, I like the way the Greeks do it. I like the 8 frequencies of love from Eros to Ludus, and achieving it and actually doing alchemy equations to get better love or receive better love or understand love in your life. Real. And I really like communication and exchange of energy between 2 people. And Brian, this would suggest that there's some love going on in your life. Divining rods, science and not magic. It resonates with me. I make my own copper rods and I recommend that. Very cool. I have a set of copper rods. I have two. I have a short and a long. I don't know if they're, I mean, obviously someone made them. I don't know who made them, which makes me sad. I think I would love and prefer a homemade set. But my little ones, they have these like tubes around the edge so that your hands aren't exactly touching it, which I kind of wonder about conductivity. So I like to use the two sets at the same time. One with the copper touching my hand directly to skin, and the other with the plastic in between that's got like this idea that you're not turning it, that it's moving, but that's plastic, right? And severing the closed circuit. Not to suggest it's a closed circuit, but also to suggest it is. And I'm also interested if people do it with taking their shoes off or not, because I often think that it maybe is helpful to take the shoes off and remove the barrier between you and the ground. And then my little set is dipped in glow in the dark fingernail polish, which is helpful in a low light scenario. I keep them in the back of my car when I'm driving to the Mansfield Reformatory or whatever haunted location I'm going to, and let them charge up from the sun, from the power of the sun, but also to charge my fingernail polish. And then I do a lot of, I also put my initials in clear fingernail polish that glows in the dark for people that steal my shit, because not only am I psychic, but I'm smart. That's fine. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Are you sure? I'm positive. Just a trick. Just a trick of the trade. Just a little trick from me to you. Anyway, you guys, it has been a full hour, which is hard for me to believe. So I'm going to go downstairs. Hopefully my children have not eaten all of my chips. They've been stealing my chips. Thieves! Children. And I'm going to grab my hummus that hopefully has not been stolen as well. And I think I'm going to watch a new movie. There is a movie out. People have told me it's good. Last night I watched Greenland. Guys, that gave me an anxiety attack. If you are someone who's even slightly concerned about the end of the world, being chosen or not chosen, being able to have access to shelter or not, don't watch Greenland thinking Gerard Butler is just handsome and why not? We like the girl from Firefly, so it's going to be great. And then put yourself through that, because it is a good movie. But watching people fight over a darn wrist bracelet is real. And that's totally how it would go down. And it was a good movie otherwise. So maybe tonight I'll watch something different. Mine have tubes to separate the contact. Put your rods over your head and see what happens. Over my head. Like this? Or like, what am I doing? What am I? It's not like you can show me. It's not like I can see you. Brian, find me, message me, send me something, even if it's at theparanormalsarah.com. And here I'll show you my banner and my everything so that it goes across on the front there. Learn more at paranormalsarah.com. And you can, I do have a Patreon for magic and magic learning of things. But yeah, follow the links below that are strolling, or on Instagram. Like I said, guys, I'm going to be hopping on later because I've got some crafts that I'm doing for the new moon, and you are not going to want to miss it. And yep, straight up. So straight up. And then what is it that I'm looking for when I do this other than armpit check? And I with the power of divining rods. Earth. Is that, I'm kidding, but for real though, I'm wondering, what are we doing with that? Let me know. Send me the information on what's going on with that, because I'll be honest, I'm familiar with divinating rods, but not all of the different methods. I'm quite skeptical of everything. I'm even skeptical of myself. So don't take offense if you or someone you know has been skepticated by me. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Brian, I think I'm on a chat lag because I asked that question and I didn't get an answer. And I know that you're answering. They go crazy, it says. What? You think? You know what? I got to set a dividend rod right here. You want to do it? Let's do it. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Like I said, this is my set with the tubes too. Okay, so that was kind of interesting. I've never done that before. They both spin in opposite directions. That's true, they do. How does that happen? How does that happen? Ah! They both go inwards. They're both spinning this way. They're both spinning this way. Show them how you were doing it up there. Can you show them? I mean, I don't want to say I hate doing dividing rods, but I always feel like I'm moving. No, it's not going to do it now. You can hear them, right? You can see them. That's weird. I guess I've never done that. Huh. Interesting. Well, interesting. And see, and Jackie's popping on just as I get off. Jackie, I was just getting ready to pop off. We were doing a test with my divining rods. I didn't know. I've never tried to hold them above my head like that. That's new. Thank you, Brian, for the suggestion. I'm wondering if you wear shoes when you are out divining, or what other tips and tricks you might have. Feel free to let me know. Man, that's weird. Do it outside with your feet in the sand. I'm doing it. I'm going outside right now. I'm going to do my alien connection for the night. And you guys, don't forget to sign up for notifications. Visit paranormalsarah.com. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. And if you'd like a reading, if you'd like to support me and my family and all of my witchy endeavors, go to paranormalsarah.com. And you can find out all of the cool things that I do there. And then be sure and sign up for notifications. Later this evening, I'm going to be on my Facebook doing crafts, and my Instagram probably doing crafts. I'm going to literally go heat up my coffee, check on my husband, check on my kids, make sure everyone's okay and alive, flip the laundry over, do the things, grab my stuff, plug in my glue gun, and be back up here. So maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a wonderful new moon in Cancer. Don't forget to do something to celebrate yourself and your feelings. Check in with yourself, regulate in a healthy way, and have a great night. I'll talk with you guys later. Bye-bye.